Why French women don't get fat? Listen, I know that there are already books about it, there are articles about it, there are videos about it. I know, but I want to add my point of view to this story because I am a foreigner living in France and I don't live in Paris as well, which is different because I feel like most people, when they think about France, they think about Paris and Parisians, but I have a different view of France. And French women really do not get fat as much as the rest of us, the rest of the world. And I think that there is an explanation for that that has a lot to do with the French state of mind in general, and I want to talk about it. I'm a 37-year-old dietitian and a mom of 2, and I talk all about fitness, diet, etc. So if you want to see other videos, go ahead and check out my channel. But let's go and talk about the French people. You know what they say about stereotypical French people? They think they're better than everyone, they have like a huge ego, etc. Of course, it's only stereotypes. But I think it also applies to food. French people in many cases feel very highly of themselves, but in a good way, not in a bad way. And it also applies to food. They have a lot of respect for their food and for their bodies. And that really plays a big role in the way they eat, in the way how they eat and what they eat. First thing related to the self-respect, is that they respect the times of their meals. All of the French people have very similar eating schedule, meaning that they have a very small breakfast in the morning that is called petit déj, and that's usually like a croissant or just a tartine, like a little sandwich with butter or jam, and they dip it in their coffee, hot chocolate or tea, and that's their small petit déj, small breakfast. And then they have lunchtime, and lunchtime is sacred for French people. Everybody, doesn't matter where you work, you have time for lunch. If you work in the office, you always have lunch at midday and you come back to the office at like 1:30 in the afternoon, and you have this whole hour to go and eat somewhere. If you work in a restaurant, you don't necessarily have time exactly at midday, but even restaurant stuff changes at midday, and everybody has their half an hour or 20 minutes to eat something, to sit down and eat their meal. Then they usually have 4 heures, so 4 o'clock meal, which is usually something small, maybe something sweet, just like a snack. And then in the evening they have dinner. What that does is, first of all, they always eat this at the same time, so they are hungry at the same time. Once you start eating always at the same time, you're not going to be getting hungry in between your meals. So you're not going to be snacking. French people do not snack. Snacking is not chic. You're not going to see French people walking around with their food on the street or eating on the bus or eating in their car. French people sit down and they celebrate their meals, which doesn't mean they don't have snack foods like chips, for example. They do have like potato chips or potato crisps, but they have them as a starter. They would have a glass of wine and some crisps, and then they would have main meal, and then they would have a little dessert. They have everything as one meal. They sit down, they enjoy their food, they are having conversation because they usually eat with someone else. They celebrate their meal. They don't eat in a hurry, and then they finish the meal, they go back to their life, and they wait for the next meal to eat. They are not constantly grazing around, constantly snacking, constantly eating. They celebrate their meals. Their brain registers that they are eating, that they are having meal, so they are not gonna be just eating super fast and then getting hungry an hour later, because their brain registered that they had a proper meal. French people also respect their bodies, and getting like really full and eating huge portions is not well seen in France. If you go to a French restaurant, unless it's a tourist restaurant, you're hardly ever going to see huge portions of food. And interesting thing, many times if you do go to a restaurant and a portion is big, you can hear French people actually say to a waiter, not in a positive way, that the portion is too big, that they are not going to be able to eat all of that. French people do not appreciate having big portions of food. They prefer to have smaller portions of better quality food. And then, again, related to self-respect, is the quality of food. French people really appreciate high quality food products. They like their vegetables to be fresh and local. They like their meat to be French, coming from France. They take care of these kind of things when they go to the shop, when they do their shopping. They do look at the labels. They check where the food comes from. They love their farmers market. They have farmers market in every single little village in France, once or twice a week. So I can always go and pick up my products at the farmers market. I can also go and pick up my product at an actual farm. French people really love their produits du terroir, which means local French-made artisan products. And they really pay attention to the quality of the food on their plate. They respect their food, they respect their times of eating, they respect their bodies. They do not like to get overly stuffed. They prefer smaller portions of good quality foods, and they respect the fact that everybody should have their time and should take their time to sit down and eat their meal. And this kind of culture of respect for the food, respect for the body, respect for the meal times means that there is no eating in rush. There is not much eating of junk food or fast food. There is no just stuff in your face with food while doing something else. All of that plays a huge role in the fact that French people do not get fat maybe as much as the rest of the countries around them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos about diet and exercise and how I stay fit and healthy and lean, go ahead and check out my channel. See ya!